Double clap, I clap. No, yeah, but I was saying, so like, I went to that show last night. I've never seen El Cid ever that like booked. They're packed, I guess. It was crazy.
Yeah, it's a cool play. I mean, yeah, we're just in the double booking.
Yeah.
Wait, who played?
It was Tommy Richmond and Jonah Roy, and then Marika Sage, and my name's J-Mac. So it was a sick lineup, yeah.
That's cool. I don't know. I'm not familiar.
Yeah. But I don't know, like, aesthetically, I think it is, like, probably my favorite, like, venue that I've been to in LA so far. Because, I don't know, it feels like my favorite venues are, like, a mix of, like, ones that feel like a venue, but then also don't feel too, like, like, they have to have character, you know what I mean? I feel like El Cid has character. Same with that spot that we were just talking about.
Yeah. Open the portal.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, no, El Cid, I mean, I think it's also a restaurant.
Yeah, it's
food, Mexican food.
Yeah, it's a Mexican restaurant, right? I think Mario was telling me that. I didn't know that. It's like a Mexican restaurant during the day, right?
Yeah, so I mean, they make so much money off.
Yeah, they must. Yeah, I think like that's a new thing too. With like, I think post-pandemic, it's hard for venues to just be venues. Like most venues have like at least it's like some other thing to them, you know?
Well, because they don't make that much money.
Yeah, dude.
I mean,
I realized that too when I moved to LA. I think it's like the way the venues function out here is so different than like where I'm from. Cause like just like having like a $5,000 bar flat rate or like a bar guarantee is like not really a thing like where I'm from. But it's like thing in LA is like there's so many people who want to play, but like they can pick and choose what they want to be profitable almost. So it's like all these venues are like, or the vast majority are 21 plus, which sucks. And then it's like even past that, it's like I feel like the deals are gonna give you are gonna be like way worse than other places just because they have so many options, you know?
Yeah, well, it becomes more expensive. My friend's got a show. Ian the Idiot has a show next Friday, and we were trying to do it at the Virgil.
Dude, I just went to the Virgil, and they offered me a ridiculous like.
Was it a $3,000?
It was $4,000. It was a $4,000 bar minimum. That's crazy. You mean that? I just went there.
Everyone has to get like really fucked up.
Yeah.
To make any money.
Yeah.
And then you're not making any money. Well, do you get tickets? Do you keep the ticket money?
Yeah. Well, so pretty much what they offered me was like, they said you keep 100% of the door, but we need a $4,000 bar guarantee, which is unreal for a 200 cap venue. Like, do the math.
Yeah.
Everybody would have to buy like 2 drinks for you to even break even.
Well, me and my friends did a show there, like around Christmas time.
Yeah.
And we definitely, like, my friend lost money.
Yeah.
Doing the show, and I think had to like pay whatever the difference was on the bar. And it's just no one's gonna even a bar that's just a bar doesn't hit a $3,000 minimum.
Exactly. Yeah.
Like there's not even a concert.
No, yeah.
They're not making $3,000.
The way that I look at it is like a promoter should not be losing money if they sell out a show. Like that makes no sense to me. Like there's no world in which like a venue should be charging you so much at either a flat rate or such like a ridiculous door deal that you're losing money for throwing a show that sells out. Like you should not be. That makes no sense. You know, like that's ridiculous.
Well, yeah, we broke even on the lightning round show,
which is even kind of crazy because it seemed like packed.
Yeah, it was packed. I mean, like a lot of people were on the list, and like, you know, the drinks weren't that expensive.
Yeah,
and that was kind of like we could have maybe made more money, but it was, you know, it's just kind of like it's part of the fun of throwing a show anyway. It's like, would you rather it be good or like everyone be upset it costs so much money?
100%, yeah.
Because you're buying a ticket and then you're also buying drinks that are really expensive.
Yeah.
It's like kind of you have to pick one or the other, I think, with the bar minimums and all the requirements.
Yeah, I kind of feel the same way. I think I would rather like as long as I break even and everybody has an amazing time at like shows that we throw, I'm fine with it. You know what I mean? I never want to those are 2 things that I avoid. Is like I never want to lose a significant amount of money, obviously, because I can't afford to.
Yeah.
But it's like if that comes at the like I think there's shows where people like or promoters will like lose money and it's not even in exchange for like an incredible experience. You know. Mm-hmm. That was like one thing that was cool when I was like looking into your stuff. It was like I saw that like, you know, outside of your music, because I mean for context, I got in your music after I went to the Wild show, and I didn't even know you had a hand in organizing it. But I like looked back and like everything you'd done. So it seemed like were you like done promotion and then you were also like a videographer before you got into like putting your own music out?
Yes, I've kind of started doing. Yeah, I was doing videography stuff for my friends' bands, and like I've made music videos like here and there, and then I was kind of slowly starting the music project like the whole time, and now it's like it's not big at all, but like it's more like like we play pretty often, and like, you know, we've done some good shows, and Sorry, what was the question again?
I was just saying how like I had gone back and like noticed that you were a promoter and then also a videographer and director before.
Yeah. So we did the directing stuff, and then I started promoting because I was working at Delicious Pizza, and my boss there on Sunset. My boss there connected me to this venue in West Adams called the Mid-City Yacht Club, which is like this really dope, like kind of illegal bar that's like all nautical themed, and like I was throwing shows there. And we did like 3 or 4, but it was like I was making no money.
Yeah.
I mean, in like the bar, they were happy with them. Like 60. It's only like 100 cap room. It's like very much a bar with a stage.
Cool. Okay.
So it's like, yeah, there was like 100 people there. They did okay on the bar. They would maybe give me like $200 cash or like $100 cash. Like, oh, like this was good. And then I stopped. They were kind of difficult to deal with, so I stopped. And I also got a different job, so I was like, I can't really be a promoter right now.
Yeah.
But I've kind of just throughout the whole time, like, always tried maintaining like the band at the same time of like doing work and stuff, because it's a fun project to have.
Yeah. Creatively, like, was there an intention to like get into the two things to lead into music, or was it just kind of a natural progression?
It was kind of just like how taking opportunities that were like presented, where it was like, oh, I know like you should book shows here, like, because I know a lot of bands, and it was like, oh, I can, put bills together of like, people I know, or just DM people on Instagram. It's probably what you do.
Yeah, totally.
And it just kind of fell together, and like, but yeah, then again, like we weren't making money, so it wasn't like a side business, but it was definitely like cool to like put things together and like throw parties, because I've thrown. I used to live with Nightfire. And
you guys do that Halloween show last year,
yeah, we're doing
right?
another one.
Oh, fire! Yeah. Mario was talking about
October 27th.
Hell yeah!
They're covering Talking Heads. We're doing Green Day.
That's sick.
Yeah, so that'll be sick. We were almost doing Sublime.
That would be fun.
I know. It was like Green Day kind of was more fun sounding to everyone in the band.
I think Green Day's more
it's
fun,
like more
for
like.
sure.
I was also thinking Fall Out Boy.
Fall Out Boy, I think would be fun, but I think there's way more known Green Day songs than Fall Out Boy songs. Yeah, for sure.
Because I would I would only do like the Fall Out Boy songs I like.
Yeah.
We did Velvet Underground last year.
Yeah. My roommate was at that show last year. Yeah.
That was fun. They were David Bowie. We were Velvet Underground.
That's a fun idea, like picking two bands and doing like full cover night.
Yeah, and but even with Velvet Underground, like there's not really that many hits. It was more like a vibe, like because it's like a kind of spooky vibe. Like it kind of works for Halloween.
Lou Reed's like a creepy guy.
Yeah. I was dressed as Andy Warhol.
Oh, that's sick.
But it was like kind of spooky vibes, and then it just like kind of fit. And my friend Sedona, she was Nico.
That's sick.
So it was like a cool, like we kind of like did the bit. And like honestly, I wish we could just do Velvet Underground again. But it's
Why
like,
can't you?
I don't know. We're just gonna do a new one. But yeah, we're doing Green Day.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'll be Billy Joe, but I'm not gonna play guitar. So it's like a different. So I was kind of trying to do a band where it's like, well, even he plays guitar.
Bradley Noel.
Yeah, Bradley plays guitar when he would play live. So it's kind of like I was trying to pick a band that was like, front man who's not playing guitar.
Ooh,
now I can play guitar, but it was like, there's like 5 guys. They're all gonna want to play in the show. And it's like, tell someone like, you can't play. Like
do like 1975.
We're like so specific to what like the bid is.
That's pretty cool, dude. Like having that like that level of commitment is sick, I think.
Yeah, it's cool. I wanted to Sugar Ray. We almost did Sugar Ray would have been dope. We were talking about doing Limp Bizkit.
That would have been hilarious.
But I feel like that would have been like too hard.
Yeah. Does Fred Durst play guitar?
No. So he's just like front man. Like, dope as fuck.
Rapper, singer guy.
Yeah.
You could have did Rage Against the Machine. That would have been so hard cool. though.
Yeah, that would have been hard. I mean, Limp Bizkit is like secretly really hard.
Yeah.
Like it's because I mean, there's like all these bands are all like super talented.
Yeah,
so it's like
for
hard to like, in your mind you're like, oh, that's easy.
Yeah.
Green Day is actually the one where you're like, oh, that's actually kind of like, that one's probably the easiest one.
Yeah. Well, I think like, I wonder like early day, like Green Day, what like the big appeal was to people in Berkeley. I wonder if it was just like the idea that I think also like East Bay Punk at that time was so like prolific and so like notorious that like there had to be a band outside of like Rancid and like all those bands that like also made it out of that scene and became like gigantic. Maybe Green Day was just the one.
Well, I don't know much about their. I just remember seeing that there's like a classic video of them playing in like a high school or something, and it's like no one's really paying attention. It's like they become Green Day.
Yeah.
Like American Idiot was like one of the biggest albums of my life.
Yeah.
I remember that was the first album I saw like advertised on TV.
Really?
It was like buy American Idiot. It's like in stores now.
Yeah.
Like, buy it, and I did. I owned it.
I think I missed I was a little bit too young to get like that era. Like the era of like where buying music was like more than just like the trend it is now. That was, dude. I had a friend in high school, and she her dad has like one of the craziest vinyl collections I've ever seen. And the reason, and he has like so many classic records that like now you go to a record store and it's gonna be like a $50 vinyl, but it's wild to me because he kept all the price tags on them, and it was very interesting. He explained this to me. He was like, he got almost all of his records in the early 2000s, and that's when records were like the cheapest ever because they had been outdated like prior, and this is when like CDs were starting to come in and like MP3 was coming around. So it was like vinyl was. See, the thing is, like vinyl now is expensive because it's like trendy and people like it again because it's like retro or whatever. But it's like back then, obviously, it was expensive because it was the best medium to listen to music. So it's like in that sweet spot in the early 2000s, vinyl was like ridiculously cheap.
Yeah, and like I feel like people still think like, I mean, I got really into like buying cassettes when I was like in high school and stuff like that. But it's really like not worth owning. The cassettes aren't?
Yeah, I don't think I've ever owned a cassette,
like
to be
a cool
honest.
toy. Like it's like conceptually like, oh, this is like, because when I was in high school, there's like Burger Records.
Oh yeah, so you're from here, so you were like around that whole scene.
So like they were like making all the band. I had cassette tapes.
That was
like,
their thing,
that was, like,
right?
their thing. It was like cassette tapes, and they got canceled.
Yeah, hard.
But yeah, like that was like a cool like tchotchke.
Yeah.
And like I want to make CDs for like the EP that is already out, but like we're gonna add songs to it and put it out. But not that many. Like you have to have like an older car to even have a CD player. Like it's like it's also just like a cool thing to buy. It's not really like functional.
Well, I do think it's a bit of a future investment too, because I think like if you take anything from the way the vinyl came back, I guarantee you CDs will come back in the same way for sure, right?
Rare collectible.
Yeah, exactly. I'm like, dude, I'm so big on like physical objects that like are like momentums of like certain times and stuff. I think it's the coolest shit. We have this like whole idea where like all of our shows right now, they're comic book covers, but we have this whole world we're trying to build out where we're gonna like turn these into comic books, which is like our grand vision. But I think that's such like a cool idea because like to me, giving away, the plan is to give them away at all of our shows and not sell them. And I think where you get that, like where in my head why that makes sense is like you said, like they're not like incredibly functional. Like even though it's a really cool comic book, like no one's gonna like, not no one, but like the amount of people who are like really into comic books is very small. And those same people who are like really into comic books generally, I don't think aren't super into music. I mean, maybe there's some crossover there, but so the idea is not to sell them, but to give them away. And it's not even to like have them be incredibly functional, but it's more so just for like the idea of holding a momentum of like a piece of time in your hand. Like I think that's so cool,
Just a little expensive.
Yeah, for sure.
have you looked into like how much it was gonna be?
Yeah, the plan right now is to do them like it. So we want to do we're looking at doing like 3 to 6 page comic books depending on like what the show is and the theme, and then we're gonna make the covers colored and then the inside black and white. So you save a lot of money that way for sure. Yeah. So you said you're working on an EP right now, but the songs that are already out are like on the projects, or are you trying to do like a more waterfall release type thing where you're dropping singles?
Well, they all came out as singles.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, I'm going to do them all as singles. But, like, they are an EP. Like, they are, like...
They're together, yeah.
A collection of songs. So I just did a photo shoot to, like, make a cover and, like, organize all of it. And so, it looks good on Spotify. I just, like, go through the DistroKid and, like, enter it all the ISBNs, I think that's the thing. And, make it look good. But yeah, that's the plan, and like I'm gonna put like some old demos on it,
cool,
or, like something like that. But then I have another project. I mean, it's all under my name, Frank Pellegrino, still.
By the way, my last name's also Pellegrino.
Yeah, I love that.
Yeah.
So it's like it's a big collab.
Yeah, I was gonna say this has got to be one of the biggest Pellegrino collabs of all time.
In a while.
This is the first time two young Italian American men with the last name Pellegrino have sat at a podcast.
Yes.
Honestly, it might be.
We should have done this on Christopher Columbus Day.
Yo, wait, what do you mean?
That would have been cool. Italian American Day.
Is that? I honestly didn't even know that.
Really?
I feel like I should have known that.
It's like Italian American holiday.
Oh, that's sick. I didn't know that.
Well, not anymore. Now it's Indigenous Peoples Day.
Yeah.
It was taken.
Damn.
Well, it could have been like a protest.
We took their land, they took our day.
But I'm part Native American, so it's like I can say that.
that look back was crazy. That's a very like eclectic mix. I feel like Native American and Italian.
Just a little bit.
Yeah.
I'm enough to like put it on a college app.
Yeah.
But like not like super.
I feel
like Elizabeth Warren.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
like
When she was
Native
dropping
American.
the Native American bars. Yeah.
Yeah. She had a Native American cookbook. It was like.
No way.
Yeah.
She did. She had a Native American cookbook.
Like a Cherokee omelet. Yeah. It's like bizarre.
That almost feels racist.
No. Yeah. But like. Yeah, it kind of is. But she like that's her whole bit is like I'm Native American.
Interesting. Yeah, I don't know if like for her that's not really a hill I would die on.
Yeah.
Where were you going with that? Oh yeah, you were saying the biggest Pellegrino collab ever. But what were you saying? Oh, yeah, your releases.
So yeah, the releases. I've got another EP that's like basically recorded, and that's gonna. I want to like kind of I feel like the old method because I'm not going on tour anytime soon.
Yeah.
Like it's like supply and demand. So I'm just gonna keep putting out songs until like more people are listening and kind of like keep the. That's why I do the funny videos and shit on Instagram too.
That video you posted about being a club promoter the other day was so fucking funny.
Like
that was hilarious. And also like I feel like I was watching it and in my head it felt like it was like 20 minutes long, but it was like it was like a minute 30 seconds.
It's short and sweet.
It was so funny.
But yeah, I'm trying to like make TikTok things and like more because I did like improv stuff like before COVID.
Yeah.
I like, did like groundlings class and shit like that. So I want to do things of that nature and like be funny on Instagram. But it's it's kind of it's all going to the same place of like pay attention to like the art I'm making and like promotional content.
So is that stuff that like you even like externally from your music you still enjoy like doing all that stuff? Because I feel like a lot of the times like it's difficult for people who like are so into the music to like pivot and like make the marketing fun as well.
Yeah.
But I think the way that you do it probably would make it really fun to create, right?
Oh, they're all fun videos to make. Like I'm not. That was kind of the thing is like forever I was like I didn't want to be because there's no label like threatening me to make video. Like,
you can do it or you can't. Yeah,
it's like it's all up to me. Like I'm just doing it for fun. All of it's for fun. Like there's no money involved. So it's like, everyone's like, oh, you have to make TikToks. It's like I agree. Like you do if you want. If you want anyone under 18 to like watch or listen to music, you got to be on TikTok.
Yeah.
So it's like I was looking at my Spotify for artists like number. It's like I don't think there's one under 18-year-old who's like ever listened to my music.
Wow,
so
that's
it's like,
crazy.
It's not that like it's like my Instagram's like all people I know or like my age around whatever, and so it's like if you want anyone young and like all the bands I loved growing up I was like 13 or like around
Same,
a teenager so it's like I would love teenagers to listen to my music.
Yeah.
That's like kind of who you really want. It's like, like a kid who's like, oh, that's like my favorite band and like stuff like that. So it's kind of, that's like the mission is to like, but I mean, I don't know. I don't think the teenagers really think like the club promoter characters, like they won't get it.
Yeah.
It's kind of above their like age range.
Yeah. I think it's one of those things you got to like see to make fun of,
Yeah. But I've got some more ideas of like, funny things to do and like, it's like, kind of just like a fun exercise and like making videos. I
feel like you lose like a significant amount of what you're doing when you like force yourself to do things that aren't fun for the point of success.
Yeah.
I think there's ways to even make like the stuff that like naturally isn't as fun, like the marketing side of it or like the character building or whatever, however you're promoting your music. I think there's ways to make everything fun.
No, yeah, and I felt like I was like borderline, like I wasn't a full hater of like the TikTok stuff, but like I definitely felt like, oh, like, am I an old head hater who hates? Like,
how old are you?
I'm 27.
That's not old, yeah. I mean,
no, I know, but like my head, I was like, oh,
like the mentality.
Like, yeah, I was like, fuck that. I was like, I'm too old.
Yeah.
Or like I wasn't. I was like, oh, like I'm like bordering on that.
Okay.
So I was like, oh, like let's. And then I had a friend who was telling me, he was like, it's the first time like the consumers like democratized like the internet. Like, they get to choose what they like. And I was like, that's a pretty cool way of looking at it.
I do agree.
Like it's like it's either like the kids hit like or they don't.
Yeah.
It's not anything other than that.
100%.
So it's like I'll try and make some stuff. But I haven't done any videos that are really music related.
Yeah.
That's the only other thing.
Well, those are two weird things. Like, okay, like I want to touch on both that because like one, like I totally agree with you. Like that's always kind of been the way that I think about TikTok, and that's why I think like it's a net positive thing for music, because it's like generally, like, I mean, obviously there's your flukes, right? Obviously there's like your sexy red, like whatever, but it's like 95% of the stuff that's blowing up is very good. And whether whether it's for you or not, that's a whole other conversation. But like even the most pop influenced stuff that's blowing up is like written really well, and like I think that's why it's blowing up. I think generally songs that have like mass appeal, or I think you can very often regard them as like good or whatever, whatever that even means in music. But it's like, I think if there was like a bunch of bullshit blowing up on TikTok, I think I'd be against it. But in my opinion, it's like if like tons of people are enjoying it and liking it and saving it, and they're like thinking about these songs, and it's like it becomes a part of their like their headspace, I think that's like definitely a net positive thing.
Yeah, it's cool. You get famous like a lot faster.
Yeah.
Like the one, the Richmond guy, with the country guy.
Rich Men of Richmond, or what was it?
Rich Men of Richmond.
Yeah.
Like,
I hate that name. It's so hard to say.
But like it was like one day and he was like #1.
Yeah.
So it's like kind of crazy.
That one was crazy isolated too, though, because that was like YouTube. He like blew up on YouTube, and that doesn't like happen anymore.
There's the video. It's like, wow, this guy. I mean, but it's like the internet, the power of the internet. So it's not like, but it used to be, the label would just pay the radio DJ and like, you were famous.
Yeah, I mean those days are long.
You can still kind of do that.
Yeah.
But it's now it's like less so.
Yeah, and if you do it, it's working to like a different audience. I think it's interesting that you were talking about like how none of those even have to do with music, because I think about that a lot too. It's like I'll be doing things like I'm like, okay, I run a music media company, but so much of the stuff I'm making isn't even like directly related to music. It's just like there's like kind of what you were saying. There's like almost like I'm throwing a bone to like the music, you know what I mean? Like it's like a nod and a wink, but it's like it's not implicitly about music, and I think that's even important. I think you kind of have to strive for that, because like the second people feel like you're selling them something, they're out. Like they're done.
Yeah.
Well,
that's because it's really easy to be like.
Yeah.
It almost is like if you're just it's basically you're transparently just being like, I'm only doing this because I want you to like go to Spotify.
Yeah.
Or whatever, or like buy the song. No one buys music anymore, but it's more, trying to like show personality or like be funny and those kinds of things. Because I feel like. There isn't really like an MTV. I've been thinking about this a lot. Like you used to like kind of maybe even start liking a band because you saw them be funny on something, and
totally.
And then like went into it, or like some like just out like
great example of that. Yeah.
So it's like you saw like these like them being interviewed and it was really funny, and then like and then you went and like, or like they performed on Letterman or whatever, and they were funny, and that's why you like went and listened to all their music. And now I feel like there's less. It's more people just pimping the music and not being like funny or trying to like show like personality or anything like that. So it's like that's kind of like part of the goal. Is like let me like try and like show some personality.
Yeah, and that's
through
why
video.
And that's why I don't really feel like a ton of sympathy for the people who are like, I will never ever make short form content or like try to promote my music, because like it is never like there's never been a like state of music or entertainment for that matter where you have been able to only do things that you like super like, and then like be successful. There's always like that level of doing things you don't like, but it's like how can you make those things fun? It's like what we were talking about earlier. It's like how do you get to a place where it's like you're enjoying those things? And I think that's why in interviews people would like show so much personality. And I think a lot of that has to do with too. It's like I like my favorite musicians are ones that I listen to and I feel like I can like relate to. I think it's everybody.
So when did you start the podcast or the whole AboveTheBridge thing 5 years ago?
Yeah, I started 5 years ago, but I started it like just all it was 5 years ago was an Instagram account or like I reviewed music. And I started and I was living with my parents and I worked in a movie theater. And I was a busser, and there was always one theater that like wasn't functioning for the day. They had one that was like a backup or whatever. They'd like store stuff in there on a day-to-day basis. So I'd go in that theater whenever I wasn't cleaning one, and I would go on my phone and I would write about like whatever record I was obsessed with at the time because I was listening to music like while I was doing this job. And eventually, like the whole story is like I did that for like a year and did nothing with those. And then eventually I put those on like an Instagram account. That Instagram account eventually became a blog, which became a YouTube channel, which eventually became like an events company, and then that kind of became a media company. So it was like very like trickle, Yeah. So but it was like all that came because like I just didn't know what I wanted to do. Like, I had zero idea what to do with my life.
I mean, yeah, it's similar for me with like the band. Like, we basically started the band because it was my friend knew I like played music and like wrote music, but she was like throwing like a small like music festival or like family on an avocado farm, and like
that's cool.
Like it was just dope. Like she could make it like like an actual like Woodstock. It's like got the space for it.
You brand it with avocados and shit. Yeah.
So it was like this avocado thing, and she thought I was gonna come and just like play, you know, cover set or something. Just, like, you know, do something on guitar, and then like for that I like put the band together.
How'd you meet them all?
I just was already friends with them. So it was I had one friend, I was like, Tim, like my friend Tim who's in the band. I was like, Tim, like Tim Gruber, you should come, like, you know, will you like play guitar with me, like, for the show? And he was like, yeah. And his roommate, Carl Lehman, was a drummer, and he was like, oh, like you need drums. Like, can I, or he was like, I want to play. And I was like, yeah, for sure. And then they're like, well, if you have drums, you have to have bass.
Yeah.
So it's like this whole like trickle down, like you're saying, like it just, and then basically it was my friend Austin, who isn't in the band anymore. Now it's my friend Evan. But it was like, you know, just through that one show, we basically have kept that whole band together through like the last, it's been like over a year.
Wow, okay.
Of like maintaining it, and like they, like without them, they like recorded all their parts on all the recordings, and like I don't really do, I just produce the demos. Yeah. I don't like know production really, but I write the songs, and they like do all their own parts and stuff like that.
Oh, cool. So it's like it's still under Frank Pellegrino, but like a lot of it is like very much like a band dynamic.
Yeah, it's super band. Okay. Like it's all the band. Like without them, there's no project.
Yeah. But
you know, starting out, it was like we're trying to pick a name, and they were in a different band called Harvey Trisdale, which is like they all met in college at Kenyon University and were like a band. And, like, I kept telling them early on, like, you know, we could have a band name, or I'm going to just use my name. Yeah. And, like, their band has since broken up. Oops.
Oh, good catch.
Their band has since broken up, so I think now they would probably, like, prefer it be a band name.
Yeah.
And I'm like, no, it's too late. Like, it's, like, my name now. Like,
yeah.
But we were talking about, me and Tim, who are in the band, we want to do like a new metal side project.
That would be
there's
sick.
always like ideas for side projects, but like, you need the time to like.
Yeah.
So this is really the main project I put like all my effort into.
Yeah.
Creatively.
I think it's so like I think it's so much healthier when like that's the way the bands form. Like I think the worst bands are like worst bands like dynamically and like in like the relationships are ones that like are formed out of like, yo, let's start a band. You know?
Yeah, well, like, I feel like, you know, it's like kind of, I've had some other friends who are in bands, and they've always kind of told me, like, it's really like one leader. Yeah. And then, like, or else, because if everyone's like, oh, I'm like, it's a shared band, it's like a lot easier to fight over ownership. Totally. And, like, get in, like, really stupid fights, and then, like, you're not friends anymore. So I feel like with it being, like, oh, these are Frank songs, and, like, we don't have to mentally worry about, like, anything, it's easier for them to just, like, play and have fun. Yeah. And also that's starting the band was why I like got into like starting the events, because no one would book us.
So you just said, fuck it, let's do it ourselves?
I don't even think I've ever like talked to a booker before.
Interesting, yeah.
About like, it's always been, now it's like people have seen that I've done events and they're like, oh, do you want to do an event together? That was the Luke Wilde thing.
Oh, so how did he find you?
Well, because he played a show with Nightfire when I was living with Nightfire, and it was like, it wasn't a Halloween show, but it was like, I was like the host. I wore like a top hat, and I was like the host.
Sick. Yeah.
And what's funny is like now me and Luke are friends, but like I did like a whole intro for them. Like they did like a recap. Luke made a recap video of that show, but cut in a different intro person from like a different show, and like completely cut me out of the video.
That's so funny.
So it's like kind of whack. I was like, damn, what the fuck? Like I was like dressed, I got cut out of the only
I went
video.
all the way in,
Yeah, I was like, dude, I like fucking gave you my all.
A whole
cut me out of that. But so I met Luke through them, and then like followed each other, and he came to a couple of our shows, and he was like, yo, we should do a show together. And I went to one of his lightning rounds before, and like I love the idea.
I didn't know it was a thing before this one. This was the first one. So he was doing these before?
It was like his idea, and like I guess he did them in Atlanta. That's where he's from. Cool. And I thought, it went great. It was like this turnover we were talking about was like so smooth. Yeah. But there were 10 artists that played.
Yeah.
Which is a lot. And I was talking like kind of like we got like some sponsor
Cool.
not money, but like free alcohol.
Oh, nice. That's big.
Passion Tree Seltzer. Shout out West Peak Sparkling Cocktails. And they just gave us free product. And but like in my pitch, I was like, it's a music festival.
Yeah. Well, damn near it kind of.
Yeah, it kind of was.
Yeah.
It was like, it's a music festival.
Yeah.
And so that was like, and like we want to do it again. I'm going to tell everyone like, it's a music festival.
Yeah.
But so I don't know. We're hopefully, knock on wood, we do one New Year's.
Yeah, that'd be sick, dude. It was a super sick event. I noticed too, like, well, I also think an event like that at like a more traditional venue doesn't feel as cool. Like, I think that feels way different if it's at like a more traditional venue, you know?
Oh no, for sure. Yeah, it's like the DIY vibe is also like a big part of just like the genre of music.
Totally, yeah.
And I have my friend's band, and I was they're in he played bass in my band. And they joined this band called Mike Sabbath and the Moon Girls.
That's a crazy name. That's sick.
No, it's sick.
Yeah.
And they're like insanely tight. And they but like if they played one of these DIY shows, it'd be like, whoa, these guys are crazy.
Yeah.
They're almost like a fucking like disco funk band.
That's sick.
So it'd be like a mind blowing thing instead of playing like somewhere you'd expect them to play.
Yeah.
I don't know. I feel like with the DIY thing, you can really like surprise people because it, like, the environment looks like shit.
Yeah.
And like, it's like kind of illegal.
Yeah.
But it's like,
and illegal shit sometimes is kind of cool.
No, exactly.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like, oh wow, where is this place? It's like this is like a mystery zone.
Yeah.
And I think we had an undercover cop at the show.
What? How did you figure that out?
We just like the nerdiest guy. We were like, he had an Apple Watch on and
shorts. Oh, there you go.
But he was asking me, and I was like so fried because I just played. I was like sitting down and like.
He's like, so is this all legal? Question mark.
It wasn't even legal. He was like, how do I book here? He was like, I'm a DJ. Like, how do I like do an event here? And I was really like so tired. I was like, dude, I don't know. It was like really hard. Like,
it's impossible. You can't do it.
It was like really difficult. Like, I don't know how to do it. Yeah. I'm like, I don't know who you are. And then my friend was like, dude, I think it's a cop. And it was like, it's like, what DJ did you come here to see? And he was like my roommate's friend. He just like had no answer. And he was like kind of buff with an Apple Watch and like shorts.
It's like, bro, you're way too in shape to be a DJ.
Yeah, it's like, what do you do? Like, the meme that like, hello fellow kids.
Yeah. It's like, brother.
It was like that. It was like, dude. And so then we like were telling the bar like, don't sell him anything. But you don't even get in that much trouble. You just get a fine.
What were you? So, what was not allowed about? Oh, just like technically like the liquor license or whatever.
There's no alcohol. Well, I don't know. If you have a private party, you can technically sell alcohol.
I've seen so many people do that. Like, I feel like there's not like there's
it's a slap on. You don't really get in trouble.
LA's got so much shit going on. Yeah. Like, they're not looking for
hours. Bars are all illegal.
Yeah. Like, so after hour bars are just like past 2 a.m. technically, right?
Yeah, that's illegal.
But there's tons of bars that are open past 2 a.m., right?
Yeah,
but it's illegal.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't really know that because you can't. Well,
you can't serve alcohol after 2.
But you can be open, right?
I'm sure there's all sorts of rules where you can be. Well, there's a 24-hour restaurants and shit. But like they still serve like alcohol or whatever. Like they do. They break the rules a little bit.
Yeah, I think there is something, and it's almost hard to like figure out what it is. But there is something that's like very alluring about like the DIY thing.
No, it's cool and it's fun and like. It's like if you like are getting like history of like indie rock and all that shit. It's like it was all DIY.
Mm-hmm.
It was like rare that they ever got any money to do. And like in your mind, you like think like, oh, like Pavement's like a big a band I'm like very inspired by and like love and like they like got to do it full time, but like they didn't make very much money.
Yeah,
like they like just made enough to like Like I saw one doc and it was like kind of like how they were. I was like, fuck, like I thought you guys were like killing it. And it's like,
well, I think that was like when I was a kid, I thought every musician that had like any kind of following was killing it.
Oh yeah, I thought they were all rich as fuck.
Yeah, me too.
Like, like you guys were like okay, like doing fine.
Yeah, if that, you know.
I think you probably weren't doing great.
Yeah. I think another cool like byproduct of TikTok though is like that like there is kind of like a thriving class of like middle class musicians now.
Yeah, that's cool.
That like just make money off streaming because now that even though streaming pays you like shit, like if you do get enough streams, like you can make like there's tons of musicians who are just making like $3,000 to $5,000 a month off streaming or whatever, and that's like, you know, they can live off that.
Yeah, I would love that.
Yeah.
If I had that.
Is that like if you could like choose incentively, like in the future, what like your main source of income from your like musicianship would be? Would you want it to be streaming, or would you want to do more live shows?
Streaming, because I don't really want to go. I don't want to be like a touring guy.
Why not?
I like living here.
Yeah.
I'm like comfortable.
Yeah.
You know, I like the idea of like how I like live in my house. And like, you know, do like event promotion stuff.
Yeah.
And, like work. But yeah, I don't know. I don't really see myself on the road. It would be fun to like I've never done it before, and I would like
maybe just do it once.
I would love
figure
to.
it out.
I'd love
yeah.
to do it once. Like, but in my mind, I'm like, oh, that's like it's not. It's like it's not. I don't want to be a pirate.
Yeah, no, I get that
You know?
totally. Do you think like, and this is interesting to me because like living in LA, it's always fascinating because like LA and being such like a city of outsiders, it's always cool talking to people who like are from here, like yourself. Do you feel like that lifestyle is like glamorized here and kind of like almost, I guess not fetishized is the right word, but like it's put on a pedestal, like that lifestyle of like wanting to struggle on tour?
Yeah, I think people like the. I mean, it is kind of a struggle.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah.
Like unless you're really killing it.
Yeah.
Like you're like it's not that comfortable.
No.
Like
no matter what.
Nightfire
Yeah.
sleeps in a van on like that sounds terrible.
Yeah.
They like that sounds awful.
Yeah.
Sleeping in a van, sleeping in the Walmart parking lot.
Yeah.
That's the last thing I ever want to do in my life.
Have you ever done that? Slept in a Walmart parking lot?
No.
I did it one time.
That's probably fun one time.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like I'd rather be in my house.
Yeah. No, I feel that. 100%.
Yeah. It's like so it's like you go into and like you don't make that much money and money, but it's like all part of the mission. It's like
totally.
It's like you're on a mission. It's cool because like there's like a quest in your life.
Yes.
Of like like we played the show and like we can make new fans and like there's this like this thing we're building. Like that's cool. And like I want to do that like through the internet and through playing in LA. But it's like I don't want to go on tour because it's just so like a lot. It's you're not making it like especially if you're an opening band. I think you get like $250 a show. If
that, depending on the tour, yeah.
But I would have to get like. I don't know. I would only want to do it if I was with like the whole band.
Yeah.
So we're all splitting $250. They all have jobs.
Yeah.
So I'm like, all right, you guys can't go to work for a month.
Yeah.
We're all.
Good luck. Yeah.
We're all splitting $250 like 6 ways. We each get like lunch. And we have to like. Actually, we're gonna lose $10,000 sleeping in hotels. I don't know. Dude, it's like that sucks. It's hard.
Yeah. No, 100%. I think there is like a level of. Kind of what you were saying about like chasing something, and I think like some people feel like the chase has to be like incredibly uncomfortable, but I think it only has to be if like what you're chasing is like incredible level stardom or like you know like being like a gigantic musician. Like there's plenty of people. Well, let me ask you this: like, do you think it's possible to like curate culture like in an online space and then translate that to like localized culture in a place like LA? Like, do you think you can build like a similar kind of allure as what you were talking about with touring bands by just being on the internet and then playing in LA? And if so, how would you do it?
I think you could do it because I mean. Stand-up comedians, I've heard them talk about like, you know, there's so many, and it's very different because like going to a comedy club and going to a concert are like very different things. Where it's like, you know, if you're a stand-up comedian and you play in LA, you could just play in LA forever, and it's a different crowd every night.
Really?
Well, just because of like, you know, I'm playing just being on the bill at like the comedy store or something. Maybe it used to be like this.
Yeah, I don't know anything about stand-up comedy.
But it's like, you know, like there's people on vacation will just go to a comedy show.
Interesting, yeah.
Like if you could just get the people who are like on vacation, I don't know, if there was like a way like that for like music. Where it was almost like new people being exposed to it every night. It doesn't really work like that for music because it's like you're kind of trying to like play for your fans.
Yeah.
And like that's like the goal for... Because now, I mean, I guess with music the whole time, but it's like you're going to play for your fans all over the country. And, you know, and like, you're probably not going to exist in a place where they're flying to LA to come see you play.
No.
Unless you're like crazy superstar.
Yeah.
Or like if you played in Vegas, like if you had a Vegas residency, like that's new people like every time.
Yeah.
Because it's just like, that's just like the nature of Las Vegas. It's just people coming into town and going to shows.
I wonder how you curate that in LA. I have a friend named Timmy Skelly. Shout out to him. But he plays a residency at the spot like every Monday. And he's played it for like a long time. What he was telling me. But I wonder it's like I wonder if the same people are coming back or it's like different people.
Probably not. It's probably different people. I mean, maybe.
It would have to be, right?
It's like a pretty loyal turn up.
Yeah.
You know? Like every Monday, like I'm going to see the same guy.
Yeah, for sure.
You know, I don't think not a lot of people do that for anything.
I think there is something to be said about like the kind of events that you're playing too. It's like having that allure of like it being more than like more than just like a Frank Pellegrino show. Like there's like an event around this, like community and a culture. I think like if you can curate that, that's when people come back to stuff, you know. But there's got to be different variables around it every time. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Or different bands you're playing with.
Yeah.
To like spice it up because it is tiresome to play the same songs to the same people.
Yeah.
That's the thing. Like. I feel like a stand-up comedian would like change the set.
Mm-hmm.
You know, music, people play the same music for like a long time.
Yeah.
Well, then also with music and like those kinds of shows, like, you know, me putting on like all the shows we've played have like been pretty cool.
Yeah.
And like, I don't think we've really played like because they've all just been a party most of the time. So it's like that's been my way of like keeping the band like hooked.
Yeah.
So I'm not paying them any money. Sorry.
Yeah. Sorry, guys.
But yeah, it's like every time we play, it's fun.
Yeah.
You know, there's like a fun hangout.
And there is a place where those two worlds like collide, like the party and the show.
Yeah, so it's like, I mean, especially with like this kind of music and like rock music, it's like fun. You know, you can have, most of the time we played in backyard. We basically have always, I think there's maybe been 3 times we didn't play in like a backyard DIY venue type of environment. I mean, I'd open to playing, but that's like, I don't know. Then I'd have to, you know, book a different kind of show.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, that makes sense. It's interesting that you bring up Pavement as an influence. I think like one of the reasons I was like so I saw you. I liked your stuff a lot, and I started listening. And like Malibu, like I lied. Like a lot of your songs like really hooked me. And I think what it was is like it's your lyrical style is very like conversational to me in a really cool way. And I see it in the way you talk too. It's just like it's very like. I don't know, almost when you're singing to me, like it sounds like you're thinking in a really, really cool, like interesting way. I think that's why I like your music so much. But when you're songwriting and stuff, I know you say you do it a lot in a band context. What are like when you're getting inspiration from like the outside world? Are like a lot of these songs about stories from your own life? Are they more so about like things you hear, or like where are you getting most of it, like your lyrical inspiration from? Because a lot of it, to me, like I said, feels very conversational.
It's definitely like. I had a period where I was trying to like write songs that were like other people's stories, like still from like first person, but like it's not my story.
Yeah.
Like Malibu's kind of like that. That song is about my friend like going to rehab, not in like a dark way, but like just like, you know, Malibu rehab vibes, and just kind of like things of that nature where it's like. One of your friends walked by.
Oh shit! Shout out to the friend.
But yeah, trying to like be kind of funny. I'm also really into like Jonathan Richman.
Who's Jonathan? I'm not familiar.
Oh, he's like he was like this guy who's obsessed with Velvet Underground.
Oh, interesting.
And like you should check him out. He's like very funny, lyrical, comedian-ish musician.
Yeah.
He's really awesome, and like. He has like the kind of conversational type of music as well, so he's another big influence. But yeah, just kind of like trying to tell stories, and like a lot of them are like a lot of things like the newer music I'm gonna put out is like it's kind of like non sequitur, like it's just like funny lines. They're like
interesting, yeah.
But it's also like kind of like create enough like vague space where like someone can kind of create their own story from like vague things you're talking about, like as long as there's kind of like, you know,
like some kind of through line
and like things like something that they can like kind of apply their own things to.
Yeah.
And like, oh, I kind of like that story relates to this story I have or I've heard, or like things like that.
That's pretty cool, because like consciously writing to like almost let people fill in the blanks, I feel like it's not like a common style. Like that's really cool.
Yeah, so I'm trying to like kind of give people almost like a framework that like, you know, it's not too none of them are like too hyper specific.
Yeah.
But like sometimes they are, but it's really like they're kind of vague. But like it's still a story, and people can still kind of see themselves in the words, or like see what they like apply, like think of when like they hear something.
Eel feels like that a lot to me. Like it's just like a bunch. It's like I feel like it's just like a big accumulation of like different words, and it's just like I can like go in like a million different directions with it in my head. It's a very like cool, interesting style, I feel like.
So for that one's like totally random. I have no story for that. But
At all?
my friend was like, yeah, I just like the name of it a lot. Well, there's a show called The Mighty Boosh.
The Mighty Boosh?
It's like this English like comedy show.
Okay, yeah.
And like there's this character, it's like the eels guy, and like that was like that. So it's just all these like non sequitur random things.
Yeah.
And like when my friend was helping me with like the Spotify like submission, didn't get playlisted, but like the Spotify
Thanks, Spotify.
Yeah, none of them have. The Spotify like submit like what's the song about, and it's just like nothing. Like
it's about absolutely nothing.
It's not about anything.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like when it's not about anything, it's kind of hard to like sell it.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I think I called it like the song of the summer or something. And
we have a friend that promoted a song like that. Yeah.
Like, it's just a hit, dude. Yeah. I don't know.
What is the song about? Nothing. It's just the song of the summer.
Yeah, it's just the song of the summer. It's like a beach vibes. Mm-hmm. It was like I even said like it's
beach
like,
vibes.
It's like having like it's like the end of summer with your friends or something like that.
That's hella funny.
Yeah. So it's just.
I think there is like a strange middle ground where it's like some people take their music way too seriously. Some just do it as like an entirely like, you know, like hobby thing. And then I think there's something in the middle where it's like, you know, like you still care about what you're creating. Mm-hmm. It still brings you joy and happiness and fulfillment, but it's like not getting to that place where it's like you have to be writing about a song that's like super deep and abstract and overly intellectualized and like specific. It's like I think there's a lot of beauty in just like looking at things around you, figuring out like how that makes like a word association almost like in your head, like what that feels like to you, and then trying to describe that, you know?
No, yeah, I think that's definitely like I definitely relate to what you just said, because there's like there's being super serious, which isn't a bad thing.
No.
But like I wouldn't put.
It can be hard though.
Yeah, I would definitely say I am more in the middle with that. Like I definitely do care. I like there's no part of me that doesn't care about my music.
Totally.
Like it's maybe one of the things I care about the most.
Yeah, I mean it's too good to not. Yeah,
yeah. It's like I really like I care about this a lot. Care about the project a lot. So it's kind of like, but I am not a perfectionist, and like especially with music, it's like I don't want to be a perfectionist. Like every song like is what it is. I'm down to put like every song I write out.
Interesting.
So,
why do you think that is?
I don't know. I just like I'm not. I haven't put. There's like tons of songs I haven't put out, but it's just because the process of like producing and mixing and mastering like takes a long time.
Some of them weren't good enough to finish. You don't think like you didn't like them enough?
Didn't like them enough to like make everyone use their time for it.
Yeah, nice.
Like that's like the kind of thing. It's like if I could produce, if I had all the time in the world and I wasn't like getting older, I would like. Put like you know, they would all come out, but it's like, all right, I have, you know, I have to like, because then it's like, all right, I have to like take into consideration all these people who are like doing me a favor by like working on things for free, and being like, you know, I'm like, oh, I don't want to waste their time with something that I like isn't like the best, or not the best, but like these ones are definitely worth pursuing. I don't want to like waste people's time. Because I have done, like, there's, like, songs I've worked on with producers where I'm like, this isn't, we're not going to put this one out.
Yeah.
Because, like, whatever, you have to do so many more steps. Even though, like, relatively, like, in art forms, music's pretty easy to, like, go from point A to point B of, like, releasing it. Like, a movie's so fucking hard.
Yeah, dude.
Like, I want to make movies. But, like, that's way more work.
Yeah, like, significantly, yeah.
So much more work. And like it better be good.
Yeah.
Like,
well, that's the difficult thing I think about, like, even like making an entire album. It's like that. It's like if you put so much time into that, it's like it better be good. But then it's like there's this weird like there's like this weird pipeline where it's like when you care too much about something being good, you are no longer doing it for fun, and then I think you're no longer doing it for fun. That comes across in the music very fast. You know, like when you're doing this and you're thinking about it, like there has to be some concern, like some level of concern to like how you feel while you're making it, because I think like people will always be able to tell how you felt when you were making it, you know?
Oh yeah, you could like feel when people aren't having fun anymore.
Yeah, 100%.
I think with the movie too, like all art forms, it's like it's not really people like when it's fun.
Yeah, 100%.
Oh yeah, unless it's like a Marvel, like no one's having fun making a Marvel movie because it's like they're all at work.
Yeah,
like, doing
it's like
a job.
some corporate shit. Yeah.
Not even like corpo hate, but like it's just like, oh, that's like real work.
Yeah.
Like it's still like the indie. If you're like in the indie DIY like short film whatever, like you can smell when it like people aren't having fun.
Yeah.
Or it's like so serious and it's like that's like not even fun to watch at that point. It's like, oh, like you guys like suffered making this, like
this isn't fun. Yeah,
this isn't fun. Like unless it's like some critically acclaimed thing, then like maybe I'll suffer through it too. Like
yeah.
But yeah, it's people can smell it pretty easily.
I think the like that side of it comes off so much in the live setting too. Like me and Mario watched Junior Mesa play the other day. Shout out Junior Mesa at School Nights. He's incredible, but his whole band looks like they're having so much fun, and that makes watching them so much more fun. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah, if like it's I mean sometimes like the guys in my band have like been a little stiff.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's like just come on, it'd be a little more fun.
Let's have fun. Yeah, exactly.
But that's just them.
Yeah.
But it's like it's you can smell. Oh, but you also don't want someone pretending that they're having.
That's
fun.
even worse.
That's
almost.
like the worst. Like they're like and honestly, it's more just like do it however you want to play.
Yeah.
But like definitely don't look miserable.
Yeah, of course not.
Like just, you don't have to smile.
No,
but like, you can't be like frowning.
But you gotta look like you're alive. Like, I think there's also like a level of like, and this is a different thing. And like, you know, no hate to anybody obviously who gets like nervous when you're playing shows. It's very nerve wracking and difficult. But it's like generally crowds can tell. Like you have to like almost find like a level of fake confidence if you're not confident. You know what I mean? Because otherwise people like sniff that out of you. They're kind of like sharks and like prey on it almost.
Yeah, and they'll be mean.
Yeah.
You're letting them in to be like to shit on you.
Yeah, I think that happens less in like the DIY setting though, for sure. I think people are way more supportive often.
Yeah, it helps.
Yeah, 100%. What do you think? It's like as you get further and further along, and you know, like you kind of are wearing all these hats, like you're doing the promotion and the video stuff and the music stuff. Like I know you said like you're comfortable in a place where you don't want to go and like go on tour and stuff like that. Like you enjoy what you're making now. What is like the biggest challenge you think that you face though? Like as you continue to progress and like things become more serious and yada yada.
Biggest challenges would probably just be like time, like managing like or seeing like how we could like move, like managing everyone's time, kind of thing. Like how involved can everyone like stay on the project, and like so I'd love like ideally like we're all like, because people like grow up and like, you know, that's like a thing, is like, I can't play anymore because I work or whatever. Just like managing those things. But also, like, I do a version of my set where it's, like, just me and a guitar player with, like, backing tracks that are, like, totally different. And I kind of want to release them because it's, like, they're, like, totally different.
As, like, a live thing?
Yeah. Or not even a live thing. Just, like, put them on Spotify.
Oh, cool.
Because they're, like, different versions of, like, the songs that are that are out. There's, like, a dope version of Jamie and, like, Eel. Like, they all are different. But it's, like, yeah, just more like kind of like seeing how it goes and like, you know, pursuing the project and like, but also like I'm down to do like different like video things and like like I said, I want to make some movies and shit. And, like, see how that goes. I think that would be cool.
And just continuing to like wear those multiple hats.
Yeah, I'll wear the hats for as long as I can.
Yeah.
I mean, honestly, like it going forward is like hopefully like, you know, people with like money would get like help. I think it would all keep going the same way, but it's like, oh, if we had like more money, we could just do more shit.
Yeah, exactly.
Or like I could pay, you know, everyone
to help
like,
you. Yeah.
Like we could just make more things.
Yeah.
Because right now without money, we're like making quite a lot of stuff. So it's like it would just be a bigger thing. Yeah.
It's just like having the resources to like continue to like have your hand in all these different spaces and stuff. I also think like something I realized when I moved here too was like having like your hand in like as many creative buckets as possible, it just like propagates into like making everything better. It's like I think like, you know, like even if you're like a musician, consume a bunch of movies and in some way, shape or form you'll find a way to like bring those back into your music, you know, and vice versa as well.
No, yeah, and I want all like the art things I make to kind of have the same kind of voice and like feel like, oh, like this movie feels like the music.
Interesting.
Like, in a way. I mean, I haven't done that yet, but,
Uh-huh.
like, it's a big words to say. But, like, that would be the goal is, like, oh... And I even have my... Like, I would make the music for the movies.
Yeah.
Whatever that would be. But it would kind of just, like, oh, this all tonally feels the same. It's, like, tongue-in-cheek and still, like, funny and, like, a little serious. But, like, not, like... Still fun overall, but yeah, I would kind of want it all to feel like it's coming from the same place.
And I think that is like a part of like building a world out as a creative, opposed to just like a musician or a director or DP or whatever you're doing, you know. But it's like if you can build all of that together, like that's why I love so much like Tyler stuff. I think is a good example of that. Like somebody who's like, there's as much attention, and then I think another like underrated person who's good. This is like Amine does this. I think Tizo Touchdown's doing this really well right now. But it's like people who like the videos are as important as the rollouts for like the clothing, and the clothing is as important as the music. It's like creating this world, you know, like this greater image of like what this world that you're building is. It's so sick.
Yeah, and it's like it just makes it's a fun thing. It's, I mean, yeah, like we live in a big like multi-universe, like everything's got like an expanded universe. And you know, like Odd Future, like you were saying, like
Totally.
All their shit fit the same vibe, and like their clothes were the same vibe, and like it was super. I mean, it's like it was genius.
Yeah.
And they made like what is the line? Like, I made $500,000 off of socks or something.
Yeah.
Like you did.
Yeah.
They probably made so much more money off clothes.
My brother had those socks.
Yeah.
With the donuts
cool.
on them. Yeah. Those are like such a specific period of time in my head, like the donut sock era. That's so funny.
I remember the Huff socks.
I don't remember.
The weed, like the weed leaf socks.
Oh yeah,
Or Nike Elites.
I was just about to say Nike Elites, dude. When I was like a 7th grader, I had like so many like highlighter colored Nike Elite socks. Like I collected them.
I'll probably release socks after this podcast.
Yeah, like some Nike Elite remakes.
Yeah,
those were
knockoff
great.
Elites.
Those were like that feels like the same core as like when you were a kid. If you were like the fastest dude in elementary school, like you got all the girls. It was about like your speed.
Or if you won like the race,
yeah,
you were like the coolest.
You were like
guy.
the shit. Yeah, that's hilarious. Last question: What do you think like creatively you're most excited for in like the future right now? Like what? When you think of like your future as a creative, the next like 3 to 5 years, like what is the most exciting thing to you?
You know, just seeing where it all goes, and like it's kind of just, you know, we're definitely with this music project. It's really just kind of like, you know, like being on this podcast is like, this is the first podcast that I've been on.
Yeah.
And just kind of like, you know, little things appear, you know, after. So it's kind of just like seeing
figuring it out,
what comes.
Yeah.
Because we're just getting started, really. So it's kind of like, I don't know what is like next.
What even what it is yet. Yeah.
So I have no idea, but you know, I'd love to play the Super Bowl.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, Super Bowl halftime show is what our end goal is. Academy Award, Super Bowl halftime show.
All of it. Emmy.
Kids Choice Award.
Yeah, get slimed.
Getting
slimed.
I want a VMA.
Yeah.
I'm getting a EGOT. I'll get a Tony.
EGOT?
Yeah.
What's an EGOT?
Emmy, Grammy, Oscar, Tony.
I've never heard that one.
So one of those.
What's the Tony again?
That's the theater. So that's in the that's in the books.
Who has an EGOT?
A lot of people.
Really?
I think John Legend has an EGOT.
That makes a lot of sense. Now that you say that, yeah. I wonder who's an EGOT. I'm gonna look that up.
Whoopi Goldberg, Rita Moreno,
Oh, yeah.
Viola Davis, Mel Brooks.
Whoopee Goldberg has an
Mel
EGOT?
Brooks. The guys from South Park are close to an EGOT.
A theater?
Yeah, they won for they have the Tony one. They don't have an Oscar.
South Park does?
Mm-hmm.
How? There's a South Park theater show?
Book of Mormon.
Oh my God! I have a coworker telling me about Book of Mormon.
It's dope.
That's crazy.
But yeah, they'll probably get one.
I really, really want to go back and watch all South Park. Like I've been thinking about that
should.
recently.
I watch it all the time.
That's sick. All right, Frank Pellegrino.
Right, Dante Pellegrino.
That was beautiful, man.
Yeah, thank
I appreciate you, man. Thank you so
course.
much, my Italian-American Pellegrino brother.
Yeah.
You're the first other Pellegrino to be on Music Matters.
That's huge.
That's huge for the community.
Mm-hmm.
The
community's excited for this one.
We're growing, man.
Yeah.
Little by little. Are there any other famous Pellegrinos that come to mind? I don't think there are. Like, I've never, besides Pellegrino Water.
There is another Frank Pellegrino who's on Sopranos.
Ah, fuck him.
He's dead, so.
Oh, never mind.
The guy who started Rao's restaurant is the same guy. His name's Frank Pellegrino.
Oh, cool.
He's dead.
Rest in peace, other
Yeah,
Frank
RIP
Pellegrino.
is the same one.
What? Sorry, I know I just dapped you up and said we'll end it, but when you were a kid, did all your classmates and teachers ask you
Oh,
if your
of
family
course.
owned the Pellegrino water?
Yes.
Bro.
I got to a point
You
where
were
I
the
was
first person
saying
outside of my
yes.
brother and my. That's crazy. So did I.
Yeah.
I would tell them all yes.
Yes.
You're the
They
only.
go, wow, or they're like, huh, huh, like they don't care.
Yeah, everybody for me was like, "Oh shit!" Like I remember, like every new job I would start, the first question, everybody they'd see my name like Dante Pellegrino, like on the schedule or whatever, and the first question was always like, "Oh, does your family own the water?" And I made the same stupid joke every time. I was always like, "No, but if they did, I wouldn't be serving tables."
Yeah.
Yeah, but anyway. Thank you, brother. I appreciate
All
you,
right,
man. That was a
thank
fun
you.
conversation. Tell them where they could listen, where they could watch, where they
Frank
can follow.
Pellegrino, at Frank Pellegrino on Instagram. It's Frank Pellegrino on Spotify. Follow. Those are really the two main. It's on iTunes. All streaming. Everywhere DistroKid puts it.
Smash that like
Deezer.
button.
It's on Deezer.
Nice. Deezer. Hell
It's on
yeah.
Tidal.
Oh, I use Tidal.
You do?
Yeah, I had to make it known. Sorry. I know.
The hi-fi. This guy
I know. I'm
loves,
special. I know.
hi-fi.
I'm different. Nice. Thanks, man.
No, yeah. Thank you.
All right. Music matters.
Music
Appreciate
matters.
it.